Alright, let's take a look at the new Eldraine card, Virtue of Courage. This is another one in the cycle of virtues in this set, where you have a small, cheap, useful instant on the low side and a pretty impactful higher cost enchantment on the other side. This one in particular is taking a look at exiling cards for card advantage, which is, a very red thing to do. The whole idea here is for 5 mana, you get an enchantment that says whenever you deal non-combat damage to an opponent, you exile cards from the top of your library, equal to the number of damage you did, and you get to play those cards this turn. So that's pretty nice to be able to do. We're going to be playing a lot of instant speed and cheap things that we want to make happen. And a lot of them are going to deal damage, so once we have one of these on the battlefield, we can really get to go off. Now, because we're playing a lot of blue, we get to play a lot of interesting cards, mainly counter spells and bounce spells. And then on the red side, we get to play a lot of damage-dealing things. It's a pretty compact deck. We're able to do a lot of the things that we want to just in general. We can police the board, we can deal damage, and we generally want to smack our opponent in the face till they're dead. We want to make the games go long here as much as possible, so it's all about stopping important threats, making our opponent's impactful plays not that useful, and then, because we're playing at instant speed pretty much, we can wait until our opponent, taps out and then go and attack their life total directly. So let's talk about some of these cards here. We'll talk about the blue cards first. We get to play a lot of permission things. So we're talking Rewind, counter target spell, untap up to 4 lands. It's essentially free if it resolves. Archmage's Charm, a staple of control decks that play blue. You can counter a spell, draw some cards for yourself, or gain control of some permanent. We have Snapcaster Mage to reuse all these things. We have 3 Cyclonic Rifts to bounce stuff, and potentially our opponent's entire board if we overload this. We're also able to run Flame of Anor, which itself is not a counter spell, but allows us to draw 2 cards. We can remove an artifact or deal 5 damage to a creature. Hint, hint, this goes at Shieldred. And we also have just straight up Ionize, a card out of Ravnica, one of the original ones. Return to Ravnica, or Ravnica Allegiance. That's the set. Pretty solid. Is it control card? Really does what we want to be doing here. It's not only a counter spell, but it also triggers our Virtue of Courage with the 2 damage that it deals, so that is great. And then finally we have Is It Charm. It's also a spell pierce for 2 mana that can also deal some damage to a creature, and we can also loot with it. So, all of these things are really good, a lot of things that we want to be doing, and the fact that they can all be cast at instant speed is just beautiful if you are a Drago player. Now, on the other hand, we have all the red cards. This can deal damage to a creature, which does not trigger Virtue necessarily, but, it's nice to think about. Obviously, Ionize deals damage to the player. Flame of Anor, again, just to a creature. But we're running a couple other things here. So because we have the ability to create tokens every once in a while, in terms of the treasures that we make, we can actually utilize Shrapnel Blast, a new card, relative new card. This came in one of the anthologies, if I recall correctly. You can sack an artifact in order to just deal 5 damage to any target, which is amazing. 4 of these kills an opponent, which is awesome. And when we're going to be doing a lot of incremental damage, you might just finish someone off with this. Additionally, we have Lightning Strike. This deals 3 damage to any target, usually our opponent's face. Same with Slaying Fire. And if we just pay 3 mana into it, which with our Is It mana base should be pretty easy, we just get to deal 4 damage for 3 mana, which is great. And then, of course, a staple in red decks is Bone Crusher Giant, returning once again now that we have more Eldraine cards in play. We get to stomp our opponent for 2 if we'd like to. It also prevents any damage from being prevented, which may or may not be relevant. And then, of course, Bone Crusher Giant will deal non-combat damage to our opponent if they decide to target it. Of course, that will trigger our Virtue of Courage. So, all of these things are pretty nice. They all really latch evenly into each other, so I'm hoping for good things from this deck. The mana base is 24 lands of the Is It variety, and there's not much more to say out of that. I think we should just hop into some games and see what we can do. Before we do so, if you want to support the channel, you can do so by dropping a like on the video or by commenting whatever you're thinking about the deck. And if you are a new viewer of my channel, you can go ahead and subscribe. It's free and easy to do, helps me out a bunch. That being said, let's play some games with our Virtue Is It control. Here we go. Okay, here we go. Round 1. Let's see how we feel about this hand. We do have our Virtue of Courage here, and while we can't counter any spells, we can definitely deal damage to creatures. Also, Slaying Fire will be turned on by turn 3. I'm kind of down to keep this. We'll see if that ends up being a good or bad call in the long run. But seeing that my opponent has gone down to 6 cards, one could argue that having counter spells would be good here, assuming that they're on non-creature stuff. But if they happen to be on red and they're doing creature-based strategies, then I actually would feel really good about this hand. In general, this deck wants to deal a lot of direct damage. But if we have to kill some creatures along the way, that's honestly okay. Looks like this is going to be a red burn matchup. So maybe this Virtue of Courage... Oh, okay. If they play any creatures, this Virtue of Courage is probably best spent... Okay, interesting. I want to avoid playing my Fiery Islet as much as possible. Snapcaster Mage might just be a play here as a way to divert damage from my face. But I think that honestly will be pretty good here. I don't think I'll use my Virtue of Courage for damage. I will try to just draw one more land at some point. If they tap out here, I'll just put a Snapcaster Mage on the battlefield to eat a spell down the line. Scry to the bottom, that's a good sign. And it is a Skewer the Critics, sure. They've spent a lot of their hand here. I think I'll just drop this Snapcaster Mage. We don't need to do anything with it. If this eats a burn spell, I'm honestly fine with it. We'll hold up Slaying Fire on this next turn, I believe. And then actually Flame of Anor is turned on here, which is great. I am thinking that I'll probably want to use that most likely. So if it's a burn spell to kill Snapcaster Mage, we Flame of Anor, otherwise we try to do something else. We have a counter spell now, and the earlier that we use Is It Charm, the better. They go for my face with this, that is a-okay. I think we're about to hit a critical turn here where we can start dealing a lot of damage to them. Rampaging Frostodon. I can kill that and draw 2 cards. Draw 2 cards. I will draw 2 cards, kill their creature. Alright. Well, we've established card dominance here. That is what we want to be doing at the end of the day. And now we still have another Is It Charm and a Snapcaster Mage to pressure them on the board, even though we're not really casting anything out of the graveyard. Okay, so what do I think about this shock? Do I care? Don't think I care. We will Is It Charm this one. And then we can just deploy another Snapcaster Mage while they are top decking. Doesn't really matter which one of these we choose, we will just go to our turn regardless. Now, I think for the content I will slam a Virtue of Courage, going down to 10. Opponent is still staying alive, but I think pretty soon we are about to start getting our... We're gonna start getting our combo online. It's not really a combo, more so than just Virtue of Courage is a pretty good draw engine in a deck like this. Alright, they go to the face, and we will go ahead and Slaying Fire for 4. Pay with Adamant. And we get to essentially draw 4 here. Fabled Passage here allows for another Slaying Fire, which feels good. Puts them to 4, and then our next turn we Slaying Fire one more time to kill. We don't care about this Virtue of Courage right now. Exile top 3. We can actually decline that, which would have been better. It's fine, though. We still have enough cards in deck. This will matter against a mill deck, obviously. But, you know, didn't matter right now. So we'll take out our opponent here in a quick fashion. It felt really good to stabilize against a burn deck like that. I think when I play blue-white control, I definitely have problems in that regard, but this is kind of an interesting build where we have a bit of a ramp up where we're not that strong and they can just get their spells in real quick. But once we slam a Virtue of Courage and it's not countered, then we really have a lot of power there. And these last couple of turns really showed what happens when you have all that card advantage at your disposal. So a great game one. I think we did just fine there. Let's hop into round two and see if we can do it again. Okay, here's our round two. We have an Is It Charm that can be cast pretty early. I don't really like the Shrapnel Blasts, though, because those are essentially dead cards right now. I'm going to mull this one based on that. And I'm much happier with this one. I think we dropped the Archmage's Charm. And on the play, we feel pretty good about this one. And now we are pretty much just screwed here. Leyline of Sanctity is going to be a huge problem. Virtue of Courage, ultimately not useful at all. We're going to have to go the entire way based on this Bone Crusher Giant. So let's, start out regardless here. We'll drop the Pathway out first and then use Islets to, again, moving from there. We're going to want to hold up Is It Charm this entire time. I think that getting Bone Crusher Giant down will also be pretty good, especially if they tap out here. Let's see if they have a move. Looks like they don't. I mean, this could be Mana Tithe, and I'd like to not die to that. Right, I can't even target them for this. So I will draw 2, discard 2, I guess, with my Is It Charm. I don't know, I think I just pass, honestly. Let's get a Bone Crusher Giant. We're going to take a little bit of damage here. It is what it is. If this is Mana Tithe, I'd be surprised. Okay, so it survives. Let's see what my opponent can do about it. We have shields down for just a little bit with Is It Charm on the battlefield, and hopefully it will not really matter. Okay, so we'll get in here and see what happens. Opponent takes 4 a turn. We just have to stop whatever it is they are trying to do with Leyline of Sanctity. If this is the case, then I will just Flame of Venor to draw 2. We are playing around Mana Tithe in this fashion. Cool. Let's fetch for red here. We already have enough blue. And as long as we can keep this Bone Crusher Giant alive, this is really what we need to go to the distance. I'm going to start to thin my deck here. It's too bad we can't destroy an enchantment. We'll just hold up this Is It Charm and Ionize, I suppose. I think we can use the Is It to draw discard in this situation. Well, we'll have to keep Is It Charm up around a board wipe. This is the Wandering Emperor. We will Is It Charm this. Okay, so this is just going to be, they want to get a bunch of Planeswalkers out. So my targeted damage will still be good against those, which is nice. Sunfall, we Ionize that. And we will have to find some more damage here. Or we'll have to find some more counterspells here, which we do find with Rewind. Love it. I unfortunately cannot drop a Virtue of Courage right now. It is what it is. Opponent goes to 6. They are looking worse for wear. Alright, we get to move to our turn. Do I want to sack a Fiery Islet in this position? I don't think I do. They will block with a Castle Ardenvale token, or they will at least try to. I will Virtue of Courage to kill it. Archmage's Charm. How do I feel about that? We can counter a spell. We can gain control of their 1/1 and attack in. I like it. Okay, we swing in. They do their thing before blockers. Sure, we'll rewind this one. And we know that we're drawing Archmage's Charm next turn. They could reprieve this, I guess. I hope they don't play Reprieve. Fateful Absence? They'd go to 4 if they use it. Ooh, okay, March of Otherworldly Light. Alright, so they go to 4 here. I guess that's fine. We'll at least counter their Wandering Emperor. Non-combat damage to an opponent. Well, so we would have gotten a trigger off of Virtue here. I need to just keep it here for a, to kill a Planeswalker. Okay, so I can't really do anything here. Opponent goes to 4. We are getting very close, close here. And actually, I get to, regardless, still play my Virtue of Courage here. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter unless I draw another Bone Crusher Giant. So I guess it's really not worth playing it, is it? We'll need to use these Fiery Islets to draw here. Okay. I think we'll probably just draw twice. Put 2 of these on the stack. Solves. Opponent can make 1 creature here. Our Archmage's Charm is good. These Shrapnel Blasts are really going to be tough here, though. I like an Ionize. That puts our opponent half to death here. We'll pass. They make a token, sure. I don't care if they attack me with this. We will take a life to hopefully give them some sort of... Oh, darn. Unfortunately, the cave will still be a land. That sucks. We'll kill it with Slaying Fire, though. Okay, we will pass. They make another token. Sure, we'll just wait till our opponent's end step. We'll Virtue one of them. I'm going to try to hold Slaying Fire for the Frost Dragon. Okay, this is a good Ionize one. They have Reprieve here. Okay, opponent goes to 2. I get to attack in. These things will stay tapped. I kill one of them now. Now it's not worth it to Archmage's Charm. Alright, this is going to be a little bit awkward here. We find another Archmage's Charm. Slaying Fire will again be good to kill one of these creatures. Alright, we just hide behind Archmage's Charm here. Yeah, this Archmage's Charm is awkward while I have the mana that I have. Oh, I can't even cast it, actually. Well, that's a problem. Let's Slaying Fire kill this thing. Or do I? No, I think I gotta save for the Frost Dragon. Well, I'd love to just put this at my opponent's face. It's so sad that they have Hexproof. We gotta find a way to deal 2 more damage here. We find our blue mana source. If they make another token, we'll Archmage's Charm one of them, then Slaying Fire on their turn. Resolves. We'll do it before their combat. Alright, so let's steal one of these. And if I Slaying Fire, it's kind of awkward because I'd like to cast Archmage's Charm now, getting the human, and then... Oh, that sucks. So they get White Sun's Twilight exactly, and my Archmage's Charm isn't going to matter. Well, that's a problem. It resolves. And my opponent has 5 Infect on the battlefield. You can make that 4. And really, what can we do other than steal one of these things with Archmage's Charm? We could draw 2, which I think might actually be better. Alright, turns out it wasn't better. Opponent goes to 7, and I think we might just be in trouble here. Flame of Anor doesn't cast for both sides right now. We go to 4 poison and 5 life. Our opponent is now in the lead. So I can throw out a Snapcaster Mage, flashback something. I also have another Flame of Anor. This will just barely work out. I'll have to be careful about how I tap all this stuff. Alright. Ardenvale to make a token, sure. Alright. Well, a lot of stuff happens on their turn here. We're just going to cast a bunch of crap once they attack. So here is Snapcaster Mage. What do we want to do here? We want to be careful. We have 3 blue mana, so it cannot be an Archmage's Charm. Is it Charm? It would be nice if that did 2 things, but unfortunately it does not. We'll have to just use the Flame of Anors here, which honestly are better because they do cast for both sides. If they activate Frost Dragon, they'll die. Or it will die. But I don't think they plan to do that anyway. Not sure what's happening here. Okay, so it is Stroke of Midnight. We do get to have this one then for both things. Target player draws 2 cards, and target a creature will do this. And there's the potential that we do draw a counter spell out of this. What happens now? Alright, they give it to me. I find Cyclonic Rift, which is actually really good. Oh, Cyclonic Rift is really good here. Okay. So this comes back as well. We get to cast Flame of Anor, just for 1 though, sadly. Do I want to draw 2 cards or deal damage to creatures? If I have this Cyclonic Rift, I just care about the card draw. Me. We can go to 1 here. Ooh, they get my Flame of Anor. Okay. They are a Mana Tithe gamer. They must have been holding on to that for a long time. It's actually... Well, okay, they would not have been able to Mana Tithe my Cyclonic Rift. I get a damage in here for free if I just go to 1. I'd go to 7 Infect. Let's live dangerously. Go to 7. Double Leyline. Sure. Here's a Scryland. Let's try to look for something useful. Basically, we just need to have a Bone Crusher Giant. I get to go in here. And I think before my opponent's turn... Oh, I actually almost have Lethal. I probably want to hold on to the Cyclonic Rift until they devote some mana. Yeah, actually Cyclonic Rift is my way out of this. I didn't even think about that. So, how does this work? Flame... I have to deploy this Cyclonic Rift, so I'll do it on my opponent's end step. Well, it'll have to be when they attack. Oh, man. So if they deploy mana to the battlefield... Okay, I gotta think about my sequencing here. So let's talk about this out loud. They have double Leyline of Sanctity. They can cast basically both of them with all their mana open. I need to Cyclonic Rift in order to stay alive. I can very easily do that. But I just need them to somehow use their mana before I cast my Cyclonic Rift. It basically comes down to if they'll do it or not. Demolition Field, they just go to attacks. That makes sense. We just have to cast Overloaded Cyclonic Rift. A Reprieve gets me here. Mana Tithe does not. Alright, they get their Leyline of Sanctities back, and we just have to go find another Cyclonic Rift and or whatchamacallit, Snapcaster Mage. We have to go in. All of these things are in fact good. Virtue of Courage. I mean, I guess I might as well play it for the eventual endgame. And we have Flame of Anor to draw to here. We'll pass that turn. And we can definitely still kill a Cave of the Frost Dragon. Demolition Field is fine. I think that we still even have basics in the deck. I think we still have a couple of blue ones. Alright, so here comes this. They may attack with this. We Slaying Fire it. And I was just thinking, am I going to die because of my lands? Luckily, I don't have the ones that hurt me. Alright, Reprieve gets me, Mana Tithe doesn't. It's a tale as old as time. Soul Partition, okay, that's fine. Alright, so we deal with the Cave of the Frost Dragon, it looks like. And we get another turn, okay. We have the third Shrapnel Blast, which is just not great. We go in. We have Flame of Anor to draw to. What does my opponent have? They just have a pass the turn play. We will draw 2. And we're just looking for our outs, of which we still have a decent amount left in the deck. We find double land. That's not great, but it's fine. Virtue of Courage has no legal targets other than my thing, so I cannot play it. I think I still have 1 basic in my deck. I think I play 6. Yeah, last basic. Good to know. And really all that I can do is block here because they're going to make an Ardenvale token. Oh, I'm going to use Virtue of Courage to kill their Ardenvale token. Fine. Alright, luckily they can only do that once per turn. Yeah, these Shrapnel Blasts are really painful right now. Virtue of Courage, let's kill that thing. And we just hope for another good draw here. We've gotten a lot of lands out of our deck, and the hope is that we can just survive from here. Our 1/1 attacks into them, it is what it is. Rewind does feel good. Virtue of Courage, having moved to the Adventure Zone now, is cast for a normal casting cost. So let's do that. And we'll get a River Glide on red. Still looking for an artifact here. Unfortunately, not much can be done. Opponent will make yet another token, and this one we will need to block. The draws are getting a little tough here. We'll float a red mana from this. We actually took our last land, so we will just decline this search. Pass turn. Opponent goes and makes an Ardenvale token. We block here, and then it is neutral. We will actually have to make a very good draw here, and it will have to be something impactful. It all comes down to this. What do we draw? And it is a Scry land. That is unfortunate. Opponents got us for it, got it from us, and unfortunately our last thing is a Bone Crusher Giant. That is so sad. Maybe they will forget to activate their Ardenvale. They will not. Well, opponent really dragged us through the mud there. We countered pretty much everything they threw at us, and unfortunately the Ardenvale is what did us in. To be honest, from turn 0 with the Leyline of Sanctity hitting the battlefield, I did not think we had a conceivable chance of winning. But the fact that we actually turn out to have a pretty high number of things that can deal with this is really cool. We can't kill it directly, but Cyclonic Rift or one of our 3 Snapcaster Mages on Cyclonic Rift can actually clear the way. And had we been able to do that, had we had like another mana or something way back when, I think we actually win this game. So very, very close. Opponent was able to navigate it. We were not. Pretty in-depth round 2 there, as we push almost 20 minutes on the round. Thanks for sticking with me as we hop into round 3. Here we go. Okay, here we go. We are in round 3. after a tough game the last time, we get to start first here, and I think for that reason I'm looking for a counter spell, honestly. The Cyclonic Rift is close. Our opponent has also mulliganed. I like having my Virtue of Courage, and I think I'll just put back a Cyclonic Rift. We'll find red here. Or maybe we'll find blue, I don't really know. I think I'll take red here. If we draw something down the line, then we put Riverglide in on red. Otherwise it'll be blue. Alright. So we're set up for a Bone Crusher Giant next turn. Oh, that's actually going to be pretty useful here against this Colossus Hammer. A lot of things that could happen here. So if they're trying to discount the activated ability here, I should be able to, in response to the Kemba's Outfitter trigger, move this to their hand. We will see how that goes. So we find our blue source, means the Riverglide can go in on red. And we're pretty close to casting a Virtue of Courage, which is great. Here is Kemba. I think that will just kill Kemba with Bone Crusher Giant here. Alright, so we need to slowly make it to a turn where we get Virtue of Courage here. Luckily, we can kill most of the things that they get. Having Cyclonic Rift means that I feel safe casting this Bone Crusher Giant, since I can just remove the creature that they attach it to. We can also destroy an artifact here, which is great. I'm gonna be excited for when that gets to happen. They get another Colossus Hammer, okay. Luckily, those just sit on the battlefield. I think that we're happy to take 2 here. We can kill any creature that comes in before it gets a hammer attached to it, so now we gotta try to deal some damage. Alright, Gavalier is going to block, which means they're kind of on the back foot here. They're gonna Resolute Strike, so I'll just kill that. We'll set up our Virtue of Courage for next turn, and that is enough. Alright. Well, I would consider this a pretty good matchup here. Burn against a deck that wants to equip a bunch of tiny creatures with things is a very good matchup to be in. As long as we don't let a hammer hit any creature or get on any creature, then we are fine. Pretty good example of proactive gameplay there, and this is a good this is a good different game to have right after that 20-minuter. So quick round 3, got in, got out. Let's hop into round 4. Alright, we're in round 4. I do like this hand. It counters a lot of stuff. My opponent does go first. They're on Obosh, and I have no idea what that means for me. So the idea is going to be, hopefully, we can deal with their creatures before they get out of hand. I'm going to try to use Izzet Charm and Ionize as counter spells, though Izzet Charm is kind of flexible here, and I may need to take out that Llanowar Elf. Alright, that's a problem. So we'll probably just send Rotting Regisaur back to their hand this turn. Then it will be Izzet Charm to deal with it, it looks like. Hopefully they play something pre-combat. They put a land out instead, okay. What happens if I just get hit for 7 here? I think things are bad if that happens. Let's make them replay this and see if we can't do anything else. They just cast it right back here, but at least we are 7 life healthier. Okay, Snapcaster Mage is good here. It's okay, actually. It's not great. Let's put this in on red. I kind of want to wait 1 more turn, so we'll have to take 7 here, I think. At least they're discarding to this Regisaur, and as long as we can get it off of the battlefield at some point, we'll be fine. We save Ionize for another Regisaur for sure, and Obosh is just double damage for odd CMCs. Okay. So we're down at 12 here. We want to play a mana here, so we'll go ahead and find... No, we need to find blue. Here's blue. And now we have Snapcaster to block and then send Cyclonic Rift back to the hand. Or to send Regisaur back to the hand. And then... So, okay, I'm explaining this badly. We have Snapcaster... Okay, wait, hold on. Well, this is different. I can Izzet Charm now. If I Izzet Charm now, then Snapcaster does not get to Cyclonic Rift back. If I were to Snapcaster now... Yeah, I'll probably just Snapcaster now, bounce Obosh, chump with Snapcaster. I can counter... Oh, I don't really like this at all. Let's just Snapcaster first, bounce Regisaur. Doesn't like really matter here. We'll wait till they attack to do our Cyclonic Rift. Alright, here's that. Put this back in their hand. They are now at risk of getting Ionized, which is great. And then we also have Izzet Charm. Can take out the Elvish Mystic. No attacks here. We might just jump block the Obosh. We'll see. Alright, Regisaur. We counter that. We could have paid for the Izzet Charm. Let's see if they have anything else here. Elvish Mystic. How do I feel about this? I mean, that represents 2 damage now, which is annoying. Slaying Fire deals 4 damage, and then we get 2 extra damage out of Izzet Charm, so I think I just kill Obosh this next turn. Oh, that's almost worth it. We're going to take 6 from this, aren't we? I think I'd rather not take 6. Alright, we pass. So here is Slaying Fire on all red. That means we'll need to put out a red mana source. We have 1 more red mana source in the deck, and after this we'll have 1 more basic in the deck in general. Here's red. Slaying Fire, all red. Cast with Adamant. Shoot Obosh. And I mean, I obviously could have just been doing this on my opponent's turn, but you know, whatever. Alright, nice. Here's a Regisaur, so that annoying thing is back. And here's... Oh no, it's a fight rigging? Oh god. Well, that's going to be bad. What do they play? Oh, it's another Regisaur. Well, we have to play Islet, we have to draw, and we have to hit a Cyclonic Rift. That is not a Cyclonic Rift, and we are dead. Alright, well, we've seen fight rigging before, and usually it's not comboed with Rotting Regisaur, but it is a decent combo, that's for sure. They also had Ghalta and Maven in the deck. So, a pretty cool take on Obosh fight rigging. I'm kind of digging that. Let's take a look at this. So, double the power out of this, Rotting Regisaur becomes a 14, and Ghalta and Maven is a 24 damage bomb. Alright, yeah, I vibe with this deck. Kind of neither here nor there on Obosh. It's unclear if they play the Sorin that can cheat in a Ghalta and Maven. I guess that wouldn't have synergy with Rotting Regisaur. All in all, pretty cool deck. It was able to go the distance with us. It was kind of interesting using my Snapcaster Mage to Cyclonic Rift. That definitely bought us a bunch of turns here. But I think in the long run, other than just countering every Rotting Regisaur that comes out, that's probably the only way we win this one. Okay, so with that being said, that was our round 4. We have a final round coming up. Stay tuned. Okay, here we go. This is our final round. We have our Virtue of Courage. We do have a late counter spell, and the Shrapnel Blast doesn't do much. I'd like to start with a counter spell in hand, ideally. This is close, I guess. Opponent's also mulliganed, and I do get to move first, so maybe I use this Temple to try to find another land and then utilize all my burn to deal with a creature-based strategy, assuming that that's what they are. We'll see how much of this game was won at the mulligan level. I'm going to scry away anything that's not a land in this situation. Pray that we draw in soon. Hey, there's a land. Let's go. So we'll set up just the Bone Crusher Giant typical play pattern. We kill any sort of 1-drop or anything that has 2 toughness. Possibly elves? It is elves, okay. I like our chances against elves when we start with this much burn. So I'll get my Bone Crusher Giant out and hopefully be able to stop any of their early aggression here. As long as it's not Elvish War Master plus another 1-drop, feel okay. I don't really mind a Sky Shroud Lookout. Nice, okay, so we are looking good here. Let's put another red onto the battlefield, swing in. We have Virtue of Courage next turn, so I'll probably just try to use the burn from that quickly. Okay. But we can even rewind whatever they play. That's kind of cool. Let's do that. That's a lot of value. Let's see what they play from here. Thief Crown Visionary, we will definitely kill that one. Virtue of Courage. And I assume that playing with Lightning Strike is also a good thing. I'd like to start dealing damage to their face directly. And unfortunately could not get a land here. So no Virtue of Courage this turn, I was hoping. But with that being said, opponent now has to deal with my damage that's coming in every turn. They can trade for Bone Crusher Giant here, but I did draw a Slaying Fire, so I'll actually just go in here. Try to see if they want that double trade. Let's see what it is. They let it happen, okay. We'll Slaying Fire the Archdruid anyway. We could put them to 4, though. I think this can only just get out of hand if I don't kill the Archdruid. This deck cannot be allowed to have mana. Okay. Now they're going to deploy a blocker. Hopefully they have a bad blocker. It's an Archdruid. That's a bit troubling. It's a Visionary, also troubling. We draw essentially what we needed, but we have to find burn here. I also need to get a blue here so that we can have Archmage's Charm up. Here's Virtue of Courage. Our Bone Crusher Giant's going to have to block now, I think, unless they're okay going to 4. If they go to 4, any burn spell that we draw is pretty much GG. So they have decided to go for their 1-turn kill. It might happen, it might not. We're playing dangerously here. If they don't get me, I should be able to get them. So nothing left to do but see what happens. On my turn, I'll probably just try to Archmage's Charm, draw something. That's 8 mana. This is technically enough for a Craterhoof Behemoth. Oh. This is interesting. Okay, so this is the Paradox Engine variant that tries to go through Leaf Crown Visionary. However, it does not matter because we have Slaying Fire. And unfortunately, we don't really get to see Virtue of Courage go off right now, but just rest assured that it would definitely be going off at this time. So that is the final 4 damage, and we take out our mono-green opponent, utilizing all these spells that we have. Alright, well, a pretty solid finish to a pretty solid deck here. I had a lot of fun playing this one. I think that Virtue of Courage is a cool card, but like with any deck trying to win the game off the back of a 5-drop, it does not happen every time. With that being said, when it does go off, boy does it go off. That was a fun one to watch. If you enjoyed the content, make sure to drop a like on the video or comment what you thought of this deck. Let me know if you tried it out and how it's working for you. If you're new to the channel, you can also support me by subscribing, free and easy to do, and helps me out a bunch. With that being said, that is all I got from me. Make sure to check out the tapped out link in the description, and I will see you in the next video.